and welcome to day 16 of Fundamentals of Computing. We're going to finish up PowerPoint project number 2 here, so open up your recent project. I love the recent file choice in PowerPoint, where you can just go, oh, recent. And I keep getting that every time. I don't know why it doesn't go away. There's my recent. And we left last time, we had our actually 4 slides. I'm leaving this one in there. I'm going to go full screen. I left this one in there because I kind of think it's cool. But remember, you can always hide and unhide extra slides to show them later on. Here's going to be our title. If I ever wanted that other style, I could go to layout, because this design template has these layouts in there in what we call the master slides. So let's go to the book and pick up where we left off. Let me bring the book page over here. Oh, I went ahead here. I was looking ahead. We got to the point where we had our 3 slides and we're starting to put in our pictures. And we're going to put in a few pictures, modify their colors and their styles. First thing we're going to do is on that first slide, we're going to put in the picture of a fire truck. So we're going to go to that very first slide. And we're going to bring in a picture that's going to have this little fireman on the front. They have supplied us with this picture. So let's bring up the page there for it. I've got to bring over that page. In the eLearn page for this course, the pictures that you're going to need for this are hiding over here. Let me go take you to down that path again. In the course, underneath student data files, in the PowerPoint section, chapter 2, click on the little arrow and it expands it. We're going to be using, down in the F's, we're going to be using the first aid kit image, and we're going to use the fire truck image, the WMF. As I zoom in here, notice the WMF doesn't show the little thumbnail of it like it does for the JPEG. That's because it's a special Windows meta file format. It will show up in PowerPoint as a nice little fire truck, but we can't tell that it is a fire truck except by the name. That's the first one we're going to use. We can't just copy paste it. We have to do save link as, and we'll put that down here. I'm going to put it in my same folder, and there it is. I gave it the name PP2 fire truck. The name you give it is not important. You can save it as fire truck. You can save it to your desktop. Just don't forget where you save it to, because PowerPoint, you're going to need to point it to that. Okay, since I already have it, I can cancel the save. Then back in PowerPoint, I bop back to that slide where I want to put the picture. Since I don't have a placeholder with a add a picture, I can always do the insert picture and then browse to where I put it. Down in my documents, cs101, spring 2016, and there's my fire truck. Double click, and there it pops in. And I'm going to enlarge it. Feel free to enlarge it as large as you would like. And then we put in our title. I forgot to put in our title. Did we do that already? Back here. Prepare for the unexpected, plan for disaster. So let's put that text in there after I have my picture. Just click on the placeholder. And to get the audience attention, I'm going to put an exclamation point. Made it super exciting. Plan for a disaster. So I can adjust this. I think I'm going to put this up more in the center. I want to make this more prominent. And like I always do, I'm going to go Control A, Control Shift greater than. I want to make that nice and big text. And you know, to me, I'm thinking since the tree is on the left and I have a blank space on the right, I'm going to right align that, see what that looks like. I kind of like the way that looks a little better. So feel free to adjust your text. I'm even going to make it bigger. Now I'm going to make that bigger, that text bigger. Control A, Control Shift greater than. Enlarge the box. There we go. I like nice and big readable text. Get that message clear. Same thing for this one. Too small. I'm going to enlarge that one. And since the other one's right aligned, I'm going to right align this one. And notice as I move my text boxes around, it gives me little hints when I'm aligned with the one above me. And the general rule is when things are lined up, they just look better. To the human eye, things that are lined up nicely, either one edge or another, to the human eye, it looks more organized. I can even do that with a picture. It doesn't make as much a difference, but see how it kind of snaps. That's what we call snapping to a location, to a guideline. And I'm going to enlarge that picture just a bit more. Kind of a crazy Picasso-like picture, but that's the one they gave us. I think that's a little better than that. Just kind of jumps at you a little bit more. And F5 to test it on the screen. Oh yeah. Now a lot of this is to your own taste, but I like to have the message be bold. So feel free to adjust it. Then we bring in another picture, or we replace the picture here with a different one. And they show us that when you already have a picture, you can just right-click to change the picture. Problem is I can't change it yet. I don't have the picture I want to put there yet. I'm going to go back to my page here and download also the first aid kit. That's what I'm going to want to replace the little kids running with. So I'm going to right-click the first aid kit and save link as. And I'll just leave it. I'm going to put PPT2 in front of it just to remind me where it came from or what it was for. It may be possible. Let me try a copy. Oh, there is no copy image. Let's try that one. If I do that one, if I try copy image, I think I might just be copying a tiny thumbnail. Let's see what happens if I come over here and just do a paste. Yeah, it copied just a tiny. Oh, I didn't get anything there when I did the paste. So I have to save it, and then I right-click on this picture and change picture. And this gives me a let's browse to where you find your picture. And rather than do a search, I'm going to do from a file. And there it is. It remembers the last place I looked. There's my first aid kit. The nice thing about these placeholders is it fits it into the placeholder that was there, rather than me having to manually bring it over here. So just changing that picture, it remembers the size that it stretches it to. Now it doesn't look too bad up there, but in the book we want to adjust the contrast just a little, or at least say there was something more interesting down here in the shadows. Let's see if we can enhance the detail of that maybe just a little bit. On my screen it looks a lot bluer. Up there it's much more washed out and yellow. So I'm going to back away from it showing up so bright here. Let's see what I can do. So I have it selected. I can go now to Format, and let me see what they exactly do here. So they have the fire truck. They bring in that other image, and they want to enhance the brightness just a little bit. So we'll see what that effect has on mine. So Format, Correction, let's brighten it up just a bit, and we see the correction as we hover over it. I love that feature because it doesn't force you to click so many times. There it lets me see a little more detail in that darker section. The book picks that one. I think that washes it out a little too much. So I'm going to go with that one instead. Oh, maybe that kind of washes the background out. I'm going to go with that one. Now I see a little more detail here. On my screen at the computer, it's much darker, but it shows up right on the projector, and that's what matters, how it shows on the projector to my audience. So we've adjusted that picture. They also want to do a little bit more enhancement to the picture, some small subtle enhancements that you can hardly tell are there. They put a little bit of style to it, and then they add a few other image adjustments just for practice here. So the picture selected, I go choose a style of that one right there. See, as I hover over it, you'll see just the subtle effect it has. It adds a little darkness, kind of a little 3D effect to your picture. Remember, it's a square placeholder around it, so a round inside a square might be goofy, but you know, depending on your style you like. I'm going to go with that one. Make sure that's the one. Oh, sorry, I was in the wrong one. The second row with the dark border. It's called Center Shadow Rectangle. Let me make sure I get the right one. Center Shadow Rectangle. No, that's not it. Where's the center shadow? There it is. Mine shows up in the third row because I have a smaller screen. Center Shadow Rectangle is what they wanted. Applying that style to the picture. And remember now, once you choose one of these, it wipes out any previous formatting, but then you can add on top of it more picture effects. And that's what they're going to do now. After choosing the main style, they're coming back and changing the border to make it a slightly thicker border. And then they're also going to be adding some glow. So let's go back and, while that's selected, I'm going to change the border to make it slightly thicker. And you don't have to choose the exact thickness of the book. I'm going to choose a little thicker just so I can see the effect. Do they change the color of the border too? Let's see, they change the border. Yeah, they change it to a bluish. So while I'm there, I'm going to change it to a light blue. I'm going to make it a little more obvious. The light blue, you can hardly tell it's there. I'm going to do a darker blue just to make it more obvious. So border, color, and then they add on top of that a blue glow. So remember, always you have a whole choice of picture effects after you apply an initial style. So fuzzies up the border a little bit. Very subtle changes, but knowing how to do all that gives you lots of tools in your toolbox. Just remember, apply one of these first, then apply picture effects. If you apply one of these later, you wipe out any picture effects you've done. So we've adjusted that picture. Now we're also going to apply a bevel to it. A bevel, what they call a bevel effect. That gives a little 3D, and with this one, since it's a very large picture, you're not seeing it terribly obvious. Choose any of the bevels, and you'll see there's not a big difference. I think I like that one. It gives a little inset. I think I like that one better. Yeah, I'm going to do that one. That is the hard edge. So just a slight enhancement around the border. Having borders gives a little more, professional look, a little fancier look. But the important thing is your message. Don't let that distract from your message. And I think I forgot to put in the text for that second page. The text was supposed to say, what did it say? disaster supply kit. Create a disaster supply kit. Control A. And collect basic objects your family may need to stay alive. And again, I'm going to enlarge that. And because it's on the right side, I'm again going to do a right align. I think that looks better. I'm going to enlarge it a little bit more. And I'm going to enlarge this a little bit more too. And I'm going to right align that. And I'm going to bring that down to align with the, oh, I guess it's already aligned with the bottom of that picture. Let's see if I bring that up. The top of the text box aligns with the picture, but see how it kind of it's cramped into that text. I'm going to arrow key adjust, tapping the arrow key till create is in line with the picture. There, I like that better. Nice and readable. Haven't done a save for a while. I'm going to do a Control S. And let's see what else they want. We've got the picture. We've done our picture adjustments and our border. Applied some picture effects. And now we're going to be bringing in some shapes on the Develop a Family Communication Plan page. So the third slide, the title is Develop a Family Communication Plan. And just like in Word, spelling errors show up in red squigglies. Right-click, repair any errors. We're going to be bringing in 3 shapes: a scroll, a plus sign, and a rectangle. And then we're going to put in some text in there. So let's go here and do an insert. And in the multiple shapes, hunt down to the scroll down in stars and banners. There it is right there. Choose the shape. You'll get a cross indicator and just upper left, drag down. You can start on any corner, but generally I start upper left. And you can always come back later and adjust the shape, so approximate the shape there. And we're going to now do another insert a shape. We're going to bring in a plus sign, equations and shapes right there, and the plus sign will be going about there. I can always grab it and move it after I have it. And one more, a rectangle. So bring in that, plus sign, and a rectangle, and then we're going to apply a style to the rectangle. So let's get that rectangle in and we'll apply a style. So another insert, another shape, and there's a regular rectangle. You can choose whatever style rectangle you want. You don't have to choose the boring square rectangle. While we have that rectangle selected, the styles are available up there. And they're going to pick a style that goes with our theme here. We're going to pick a purpley, oh, they go back to the scroll and choose the purple with a shaded or a wedge change in color. We can do that to all of them at once if we want. I'm going to do that to all. Just select them all by dragging around them, or selecting one and control selecting the others. And I can choose a style. It'll apply that same style to all of them. If they're all selected, I can drag them around together. Now it's time, I think, to put in some text in our scroll. Oh, we made the plus sign empty. The easiest way to put text in a shape is simply to select it and start typing. You don't have to do the right click. You just start typing once it's selected. Contact, names, and phone numbers. And you get red squiggly spell checks in there. I'm going to enlarge that text a little bit. Meeting place near house. Select the rectangle, just start typing. Control A, Control Shift greater than. And I'm going to adjust the style of the plus. Under Format, go back to the purple outline but white center. Since the others are purple, I'm going to keep the purple outline. They decide they want to change the font on that to Courier New to make it look more like a typewriter. I don't really like Courier myself. I think it's old school. But if you ever have to, you can select the text, and then I think I can type C, and it'll take me down to the first C, and I can go find Courier. There it is. They make it bold and black. All right, we'll do that. Although I don't think it looks that great. I'm going to do a Control A. Control B makes it bold. Text color up here, or font color, black. Are they keeping it centered? I'd like the alignment better, but we'll go with what they have. This is where the little used paintbrush comes in handy. That little paintbrush called the Format Painter. I select this text. I don't have to have the whole text selected. Any text that has the format I want, I select, turn on the Format Painter, and now I paint over any other text that I want to take that same format. Select the text that has the format you want, turn on the Format Painter, and then drag over any other text. And it doesn't have to be the whole text. Let me just do part of it. If I turned on the Format Painter, I could just say, you know, I just want part of that text to take that format. And I think it only does it the first time. You have to turn the painter back on to paint somewhere else. And it is in the quick menu. If I right click or hover over an object, there's my Format Painter. So once you can spend your time to get the format just right, and then just paint over the rest of the text. And that's what they did right there. Now we're going to, let's see, what are we doing now? We're going to copy and paste the rectangle to make a duplicate of it, so we can add another one that's going to say meeting place away from vicinity. In case you can't meet near the house. Now this rectangle is too big, so I'm going to shrink it a little bit before I copy it. Now I'm going to Control C, Control V will do it, or you click on it and hold the Control key down, it will put it in copy mode. Just holding the Control key down when you're getting ready to move it. And it's acting strange on me when I do that. Now I like the bottoms to be aligned, so I'm going to stretch this guy out so it meets the same horizontal or vertical location there. I'm going to adjust the arrow or the plus sign so it's, oh, it doesn't indicate exactly center. I like that better. I'll come down a little bit. There we go. And now I change the text to have a second meeting place if I can't meet near the house, away from vicinity. And the text is getting a little big. I think it's, well, that'll work. So there's our communication plan. Now we're going to bring in some word art on the 4th page. Choosing first the style, brown, text 1, outline. And then when we type it, we're going to just put in be prepared. Sounds like our concluding slide. So come to that 4th slide, insert word art, which is basically just fancy text, a fancy text box. And then again, we just type be prepared. And let's see if we do anything more than be prepared. Oh, and then we're gonna add some style to it to transform the text. So we have that in there. I'm gonna make it bigger too. Control A, Control Shift greater than, like a nice big be prepared. I can always shrink it back down later. And now I'm going to apply a style to it in the transform. And you don't have to choose the one exactly in the book. Pick any of these other styles. Have a little fun with it. Pick one of those. And I'll pick the one in the book, which was the inflate bottom, which is fairly mild. Remember how you have it selected? Transform. There's the inflate bottom. When you have applied any of those styles, oh, what happened? It's still doing. If I stretch the box, or if you look around for a little yellow dot, depending on which effect you applied, the little yellow dot affects the intensity of that particular warping. If I did another one, like the, let's try this guy, the yellow dot there controls the width of that text effect, and of the what do you call this? Pushing it around a circle. So I'll go back to the inflate bottom, and there's the little yellow arrow affects that. I don't think it lets you do multiple things on top of each other. It's just one or the other effect. So those are kind of cool. I like the rounded ones as you have a long sentence. But we'll go with the inflated bottom. They enlarged it after they applied their effect. And they show you one more thing. We can actually apply a fill to the text. We're going to apply a texture that's not terribly visible. I'm going to let you choose one of the other textures if you like. In that text, we can apply the fill of the text to not just be a color. I can apply a texture. There's a gradient. There's even I can even make a picture fill the text, which is even cooler. But choose a texture of your choice. You don't have to choose the purple one that you can hardly tell. Choose any of those textures that appeal to you. Think disaster. What's that? It's in the text color. In the word art, you have to have the word art selected. And then choose your text fill, texture fill. Choose any of those that you like. Since it has blue, I kind of like the watery one. Oh, for some reason it only did the word. I get better do a select all and then apply that text fill. Let's see, if I made this bold, it might be, oh, it was already bold. There's a lot more things you can do in programs like Photoshop, but it is becoming more powerful in PowerPoint. A lot of cool things you can do. Basically, they're stealing the popular things that people love to do in Photoshop and making it available in PowerPoint, hoping people will buy their product first. And I think it's working. All right, I'm going to do a Control S, and let's see, how far are we gone here? We've got the Be Prepared. We've got the outline of that word. Okay, I'm going to adjust the outline. To make sure I do it all, I'm going to do a Select All, and then the outline, make a wide outline on that, and I can choose my outline color. Control A. Let's try a different outline color. I think that's pretty cool. I like that. And to even emphasize my message, exclamation point. They do red. Red is often a warning color as well. Good choice there. And we're also going to bring in a background picture. Let's see what background picture they want. We're going to format the background, and Emergency College is the picture we're going to bring. Collage. Emergency Collage is the picture we're going to bring in for a background. Well, I have to go get that picture before I can do this, so let's go grab the Emergency Collage right there, the WMF, special Windows meta file format. Save that link as, and I'm going to do it PPT2, Emergency Collage. Now it's ready to be brought in, but to make it my background, I go back over here and format the background. Now remember, there's two choices. One could be just insert the picture and send it to the back. Format the background has a slightly different effect. It automatically goes to the back. I choose a file for my fill of my background. There is my Emergency Collage. See how it wipes out everything else, all that the style that was behind it, because it replaces that background with what was there. And let's see, if I can't select it or send it to back, it's just replaced my background. If I had inserted the image, I have a little bit more flexibility. I can add picture effects. This is all you get. And I don't know if I can even adjust the contrast of the back. Well, let's try transparency of my background. See, if I reduce the transparency, the other part of that layout doesn't start showing through. Transparency is one way, I guess, to adjust the color a little bit to let Be Prepared be a little stronger. I'm going to turn up the transparency a little bit, make Be Prepared be prominent. I do have the choice of offsetting things, or even applying the same background to the entire slideshow. I'm not going to do that. I only want to keep it on this page. And then I can close the Format Background dialog, or backstage view of the format. Control S, and let's see how far we are. I think we're about done here. They're going to put a text. Oh, they're also going to do a texture fill on the communication plan page. And again, I'm going to let you choose your texture fill for the background there. Go back to this one, right-click, Format Background. This time, choose a texture fill. And where is my texture? Here's my choice of textures. Let's see what happens. Will it wipe out the green grass and the sky? Let's see what happens. Choose any texture you like. I'm going to go with the water. Yes. Formatting the background does, again, wipe out the others. I would have preferred that it leave the others there. I think it made it a lot plainer looking, taking that nice background away.
What tab is that on?
That's the You just right-click anywhere in the background and do Format Background. I'm gonna try one thing here. Instead of formatting background, let's see if I can bring in a rectangle and see how that would work. I'm gonna do rectangle. I'm going to bring in a rectangle, and in that rectangle, I'm going to do a picture or texture fill, and I'm going to put in the texture I wanted. I'm going to send it to the back. But see, even though you sent it to the back, it still covers up the theme clouds. So that's, if I stretch this all around, basically it does the same thing as formatting the background. If I wanted to keep the clouds around, I could adjust this, do all sorts of attempts at making the texture be the background. But let me show you one thing we can do here. They don't show you this in the book. But if I actually want the background to be behind my clouds and my grass, I have to modify the master slide for this layout. Let me show you that. Just because I found it useful enough as I've done PowerPoint that it's good to know how to get to the master pages. Underneath design, no, not design, where is it? Underneath, is it view? There, underneath view, I can go to the slide master. Okay, and in the slide master, there is my format for a slide that just has a title with content. I'm going to put the picture in there, in the slide master. So I'm going to do the same thing I can do on anything. I can insert into the slide master a picture or a shape, and I can add the fill of that picture, make that fill to be a texture, and now I can put that shape, just fill the whole slide, but this time I can send it to the back. Uh-oh. And this isn't the right place to send it to the back. Let me go find the slide that has the, I wonder if that's the guy. I'm looking for the guy that has the sky and land in it. I thought those were shapes in the slide. Maybe it's in this guy. Oh, maybe not. I guess that's part of the background. It's not letting me put anything behind that. Oh, never mind that. I'll find a better way. So I'm going to close the master view, and we'll leave it with filling this texture, this slide with the texture. I'll come back to that, see if I can find a way to keep the clouds and the grass in front of my texture. So format background, go back here, texture, choose my texture, and you can choose any one of them. And at this point, I believe we have our picture. Oh, they apply a gradient. I'm going to play with the gradient a little bit here. After playing with the texture, they say, oh, let's do a gradient instead. I can adjust my gradient by adjusting what they call the stops in the gradient. And I can choose the direction of my gradient. And I have preset gradients. And since we've been using blue on the other ones, I can use blue on that, choose my direction of my gradient, and then adjust my text stop, my gradient stop. Right-click to add more stops. Oh, and we are finishing up. I was hoping to get into Prezi today, but they had enough modifications here that took up the whole time. So we'll work on Prezi next time. And let's see. Yeah, I think this one's done. We have time next time to work on a little bit more. We'll review. Make sure we haven't missed something. So you don't have to quite turn this one in yet because we have plenty of time. Start exploring Prezi on your own if you'd like. We'll be looking at that. I'm going to adjust centering a little bit and we'll finish off. Have a wonderful day.